The Office of the Chief Justice is planning to launch a Women Judges program. The aim is meant to empower aspirant female judges and improve their chances of being appointed to the bench. For more on this, I'm joined by Dr. Gomolemo Moshoeu, CEO of the South African Judicial Education Institute. Doc, very good afternoon and Merry Christmas to you too. Appreciate your time this afternoon. Now, how many judges do we have in the judiciary that are female?
How many judges are what, sorry?
Are female.
Female. Out of 234 judges, we have 44%, it's female judges.
So 44% seems like a fair number, not quite 50%. Are you happy with this? What has the progress been in achieving that number of 44%?
We are hoping that we will be able to improve the availability of women to apply for positions just through education and training. Remember, that's where our role stops, and after that is the JSC role.
So I suppose the first part of it is, how does one become a judge?
How does one become a judge? You need that law degree, and there's some other requirements, and then you put in your application that is processed by the JSC.
Now, obviously, this exercise, this initiative that is taking place or coming up in early 2022 has been a result, potentially, of some shortcomings and the desire to have more women on the judiciary. What were these shortcomings, or what has necessitated this initiative?
The South African Judicial Education Institute has got 5 functions that are listed in the Act, Section 5 of the Act. And one of the responsibility is to train aspiring judicial officers so that we enhance the suitability of appointment as a judge. So that is where our role comes in. And like you mentioned earlier on that there's 44% of women that are currently on the bench. We would like to improve that 44% through education and training, just to make them suitable for the appointment.
Now, how many women are you targeting?
Because this is a long-term and very intensive program, we are looking at about between 30 and 40, because part of the training, they need to go to court, shadow judges. There has to be some mentoring, so it's quite an intensive training. So it's really not possible to take a number more than 40.
Now, looking at the makeup of these 40, are these, what is a racial mix, if you will? How many black judges or how many black aspirant judges would you be looking at? We have not decided in terms of the percentage what we'll be looking at, because remember the applications, we are going to call for applications on the 10th of January. So we will see as they apply, and then the committee will decide in terms of the makeup of that group that will be accepted for the training. So I know that experience is always a key factor. What are some of the other considerations that the applicants would need to have?
Like I said, the basic one is the law degree, and they have to be fit to be able to serve as judges if they ultimately become judges. And there is an experience of about 12 years. Preferably at the lower court or higher courts. That's some of the requirements that we are looking at.
Now, there have been issues around some of the judges, and ethics being one of them, or the lack of ethics. Now, you talk about suitability of these judges. What are some of those factors that you look at?
We are looking at judges, people that have already been part of the administration of justice and who understand the role of judicial educators. And also, as for now that we are referring to ethics, judicial ethics is part of our training, the program that we have put together. So we do try our utmost best to really make them ready to be able to be suitable for the higher courts.
Now, one of the things that you've talked about, in fact, you said you weren't particularly ready with, is the proportion of black women, certainly applicants, that you will consider. Now, let's talk about the geographical location of these judges. Is that key, or
they distributed equally amongst the provinces, the 9 provinces of South Africa, or is that not a factor for you?
No, that they will be calling for applications right through the country, and we'll make sure that there is representation of all the provinces in our country, because they have to go and, like I said, they have to go and shadow judges in their respective places. So we cannot just overload one court with 40 people, for the purpose of training.
Now, when we talk about the importance of having women specifically in the judiciary, does it have a bearing on how judges deal with certain cases? So, for instance, when we talk about gender-based violence, are female judges more likely to be stricter or harsher in passing sentences than, for instance, their male counterparts?
Not necessarily. Judges look at the facts that are presented before them, and they decide accordingly. They apply the law and decide accordingly. So it's not a question of one's gender in terms of taking decisions of matters that are put before them.
Finally, before we let you go, Doc, talk to us about the sustainability of this program, with a particular look at, do we have enough young women studying law in the country's institutions to ensure that this program continues for the foreseeable future?
Yes, I think we do have enough women that study law at the universities, and it's a question of once they've studied law, what path do they choose in terms of career? And most of them, like myself, I studied law, but I never practiced. So it just depends on them how they go through their career path, and whoever that we can be able to attract. As far as the program is concerned, we will be willing to be able to train them. And in terms of the sustainability, I think the good part of this training is going to be virtual. As now the institute is just conducting virtual training, and virtual training is more cost effective than in-person training, and therefore I'm hoping that this program is going to go on until the end of this institute, if it ever ends. But that's where it is.
Simplistic as it may seem, why would any one of these women want to be a judge?
I think people, once they're in the legal field, their aspirations is to be able to serve at the High Court, and that's how people, in terms of their growth in their careers.
But you practice law. You didn't quite feel that going into... In fact, you studied law, but you said you didn't practice law. What were your reasons?
I got interested in matters of criminal justice, and that's what I changed my path and studied criminal justice and penology up to PhD, and that is what interested me. But also in the process, I also studied project management, and that's what I've been doing for the last 25 years.
Okay, now, final question. This is really about your opinion, Dr. Moshoeu. Now, when we look at some of the penalties that are imposed on, I'd like to talk about gender-based violence in particular. Do you think that the sentences that are imposed on many of the perpetrators, we've just ended 16 days of activism, and we've had to deal with situations where individuals have done the most atrocious things to some of their partners. Are those sentences where they should be, or should they be harsher, do you think?
I would be worried to express an opinion on my bosses. All the judges and magistrates are my bosses, and I don't think it would be a good idea to give an opinion on the types of sentences that they pass.
Well, Dr. Gomolemo Moshoeu, we thank you for your time this afternoon, and once again, wish you a Merry Christmas. Dr. Gomolemo Moshoeu is the CEO of the South African Judicial Education Institute, and giving us a briefing on the new program that seeks to recruit aspirant female judges, and that's taking off in early 2022.